Harnessing Your Wealth isn't your average money podcast, hosted by Billy Peterson, a former jockey turned financial advisor. It's about more than dollars and cents. Each episode dives into the stories, struggles, and successes that define what real wealth looks like. From bold entrepreneurs to everyday dreamers who've learned that true success isn't just earned, it's lived. Because life, like wealth, it's all about how you ride it.
So here with Sean and Cade, obviously we're talking about the Financial Bootcamp. And we wanted to ask them in here to the podcast room for them to give an update and a little bit of a background on the class that they put on. I've graciously given them the opportunity to teach and put these young students' lives in their hands. And I want to give them an opportunity to explain why it's so important and the values that they're bringing to the students in our community. Who wants to take that question? What are you doing?
Thank you for graciously letting me be a part of this event. It's been, 3 years now since I've been teaching the class. You put your hand up and said you're done teaching, so I got subbed in. But I've really enjoyed teaching. It's chaos for the event, because we're teaching that class 3 times. But it's really rewarding for us because we get to see these kids engage and ask questions, and I think it's second to none, the information that we provide to them. So tell them a little bit about what we provide.
Yeah, and give a context on when Cade says we're teaching it 3 times. What kind of day are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, it's an all-day event, right? We get people in there at 8 a.m., and I think we're there till 2. So when Cade says we're teaching it 3 times, we're breaking up the group into 3 different sections, if you will. So everybody will attend our class, and then the other instructors' classes, who I know you're going to also interview for this. But Cade and I have the investment and finance basics is what I would say we teach. Our class is called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? So we're promoting investing your money and teaching them the basics of, hey, what's a mutual fund? What's a stock? What's a Roth IRA? Should I be doing this at my age? And we're giving them some real life examples. So it's really cool what we teach them.
I mean, I love it. I know that we've been big fans of helping our clients and being kind of sounding boards and an inspiration in some cases to students and young kids who want to become financially successful and make decisions today that can improve their position in life. Back when I was younger, in my teens, I used to dream that becoming a millionaire was going to have me set. Once I hit $1 million, I'm done. Basically, right. I'm cashing in. I mean, that's it. But think about today's dollar value, and $1 million is not what it used to be.
We should retitle it "Who Wants to Be a Multi-Millionaire?"
We should.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, some people will get by with $1 million or less, but if you want to continue the lifestyle that most people have leading up to retirement, it's going to need more than $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million. It means to young kids, it still sounds fantastic. So we don't want to water down what that means, and it is possible for everyone. Can you guys take our listeners quickly through some of the basics that you teach and examples of how it's so easy and why it's possible for everybody?
I think the rule of 72 is a good place to start. I mean, we try to get them engaged because instead of just showing a presentation, they fall asleep or they're on their phone. So we want to ask questions and get them, talking. So we'll have some swag or candy to throw out. But the rule of 72 is one of my favorites. And I remember being a student for this boot camp back in the day and remember learning it from you guys. It's where I first learned about investing, obviously, but Rule of 72 just talks about how long it takes you to double your money. So if we're averaging 10% a year on our investments, you take 72, you divide it by 10, takes about 7 years for your money to double. So it's kind of cool, and we show them, hey, you guys are 17, 18 years old. Let's stretch this out until your retirement age, and we can show them if you invest just a little bit every month or just get started, you can have $1 million in a retirement account.
Yeah. One of the questions we pose is, who has a savings account? And most of the kids are pretty eager to say, yeah, I have a savings account. And we say, great. Well, based on your savings rate, which historically has been around 1% is what savings accounts pay. I mean, you can argue either way, but say 1. Take Cade's same principle, the rule of 72. We say, okay, 72 divided by 1 is what? Well, it's 72. So your money sitting in the savings account is going to take 72 years to double versus what Cade just talked about if we remove the saving and we start investing. So one of the big topics we teach is what is the difference between saving and investing, because we're so programmed, I think, as younger kids or adults to save your money, where our approach is, well, that's good, have a little nest egg, but now let's invest some money.
And the power of time, because they have the compounding. You mentioned the time it takes to double your money. It might take 7 years if you're getting that historical return of the stock market, 10%, which the S&P has produced for many, many years over time. But it's not just that one doubling. It's the compounding of the doubling after that, and the one after that, and the one after that, to where you start double, and then you get up to where your money's doubled to 200,000, then it's 400, and then it's 800.
Yeah.
And then it's 1.6 million. I mean, so you can see the value is just continuing to kind of go at it's like it ramps up, and the chart just starts to climbing at a much faster rate as far as the dollar values go when you're doubling bigger numbers. And that's the part that I think it's hard for many people to see is, yeah, we've doubled from 1,000 to 2,000, but big whoop.
Yeah, that if you get a 10% return on $2,000, it's $200, and people think that, well, big whoop. Well, it's going to take time. There's not a get rich quick, and we bring that up too in our classes. If it sounds too good to be true, it likely is, because we know kids are getting inundated on social media with all these different, I'll call them schemes or too good to be true type investment plans. And so we're trying to debunk a lot of those myths. And we go back to what we've seen work for our clients over the years, so we can share some real life examples with them and say, hey, this will work, but it takes time for this to work.
It's the biggest impact, I believe, is the time factor. And don't start rolling dice and taking huge bets and gambles with your money, because we've all seen what can happen there. We've seen our clients who've lost fortunes by getting swept into these unfortunate
sales pitches.
Exactly. And there's some very, very sneaky ones out there. So we want to get kids started on the right foot, especially when they're at an age when they're still impressionable, when they can have the ability to become financially independent, to maybe change the trajectory of their life for the better, and to avoid all these common mistakes that are being so easily, so often brought to the world, brought into society.
Can I say one thing on that too? Is sometimes kids think, well, my parents are poor. I mean, when you're 17, 18, you know where you stand. My parents never did this, so there's no way I can do it. Yeah. And we're trying to break that too. You know, Cade gave an example the other day of how we asked people who thinks they're going to be rich in this room. And some people will say, oh, I'm not going to be because I'm going to be a teacher, which means they think they're not going to make a lot of money. But if they start now and start small, it makes it so much easier that they can break, the family tradition or the career stigma that I'm not going to make a lot of money, and they can become multimillionaires.
Yeah. We've often used the example of the $2,000 when you're 14, just invest out $2,000 lump sum one time and watch that grow. And that'll actually turn into $1 million by the time that person's age 77 at the compounded rate of return of 10% a year. So that's a one-time investment. Now just imagine if people get disciplined and get excited and have a plan in place to start investing regularly every month or at a minimum every year. Yeah. But get started and take advantage of some of the tax deduction options. And you guys talk about that in your presentation. You also give examples of credit card and the debts and problems that can lead to for students.
Yeah, we talk about debt a lot because kids right now, they don't have any debt. Most of them don't, at least, or shouldn't, but they can get into a problem really quickly when they take on a bunch of student loans because they want to go to a Ivy League school, or they get a job and they want to take on a $100,000 truck loan. So we try to help them because, like you mentioned, they're impressionable at that point. We want to make sure that they're making the right decision so they don't get so far behind that they're scrambling to catch up.
If everyone was doing the right thing, we wouldn't need to do this boot camp.
Right.
But the vast majority of people do the wrong thing. In our minds, the wrong thing meaning financial mistakes, and they don't start investing early enough. And that comes from just society. That comes from the thinking of wants versus needs, wanting things and spending on things that aren't necessarily important
Right.
or necessary
They
in
seem
life.
important.
I mean, we all do that. We're all guilty of buying things and spending money. I'm not saying that you need to be a miser and save every dime, invest every dime, but you need to be smart and have a financial plan. And I think that's the biggest takeaway is have a plan and know that your decisions have a big impact on your future and where you're going. The stability. And you don't want to be one of these statistics in our world where the vast majority of the population has to rely on the government to get by. Think about it. They want to retire. People that are working in the daily grind are just waiting for the day that they can step away from their job. But then they're wondering, well, how I'm going to live. Well, I'm hoping Social Security kick in, or I can get on some other form of government support. And that's just because they failed to take charge of and take action on their own behalf. And we are giving these students the tools to do so and the knowledge. And it's not rocket science. It's not overly complicated. It's not too hard or only for the fortunate few. It's for every single student that walks through that door.
Yeah.
And we're just hoping that they will show up and hope that you listen today, understand why we're doing this program.
Well, you should mention that it is a give back.
100%. Free to come. We put all this together on our own dime. We have some sponsors, some great sponsors who help and have been involved in this for years, including Hartford Funds. We have America First. We have others. Going to be some other booths there. We're going to talk about career path and opportunities for different career choices for students. And then they're going to hear from a lot of different people that can talk to that, what type of careers they went into. So I think it's very rewarding, and all it takes is the time to show up. There's no financial commitment to attend. It's truly is a give back because we feel like this is so important, and it's not taught to this level in school with this type of expertise and knowledge that we bring to the table. And it is something that is probably far more important than many of the classes students are required to take today. So with that being said, I think you guys are doing great things. We're glad that you're teaching the class that you're doing and helping us move this thing forward. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
And you'll have the next speakers here shortly.
Thank you.
Welcome back, guys. We're here for stage 2 of this podcast. The show is all about the Financial Health and Wellness Bootcamp. And last show was Kate and Sean discussing their class and what they're bringing to this event. And today we're lucky to have Heather Peterson, Jodi Stonehocker, who combine their efforts and teach a class on the health and wellness segment. And just to give you a little bit of a background on this, approximately 4 years ago, we made the decision to bring health and wellness into this program because we've determined that obviously health is probably more important than wealth. And if you don't have health, you can have all the money in the world and it really doesn't mean a thing. So these two are here to discuss what they're bringing into this class and what they're teaching students in two different kind of platforms of what they go into and what's important about their message to these students. So I'll start with you, Heather. You have a company, Pain Free for Good, and I know you kind of talk to all of your clients often about the emotional aspect of health. So what are you talking to these students about in your class?
So as a preface, our class is called the Millionaire Mindset. So we're talking to students about how to have the millionaire mindset. So I will be addressing the thought process, the belief systems that underlie believing in yourself. And so a lot of what I teach goes into beliefs. Like you talk to the students a lot about how many of you believe that you are able to be a millionaire? How many of you want that? And it's surprising how many students don't raise their hand.
Yeah.
And so we really get into the nitty gritty of changing belief systems. So I focus mainly on how to change a thought. So your thought could be, I'll never be a millionaire. I'll never be successful. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. A lot of these high school students are transitioning to college. They don't know what they're doing with their life. And we're here to share how to change the thinking habits to propel you to believe in yourself, essentially. So I talk a lot about how to change a thought. And it comprises of 3 different pieces. One is focus. What am I focusing on? Am I focusing on the past, what my parents are capable of? Am I focusing on if I can, if I can't, what's in my control, what's out of my control? Am I focusing on lack? Because a lot of these students, they don't believe that they can be abundant. And so a lot of that, it's all about changing their focus. The other is their physiology. And physiology is essentially a lot of different ways, but I mainly focus it on what is your confidence? A lot of these students in high school, and I myself reflect back on being a high school student, and I lacked a lot of confidence. I lacked a lot of belief in myself and the woulda, coulda, shouldas of life, right? I should have done this. I should have done that. And really changing their confidence level by changing their physiology, changing their confidence. And so I give them tools to change their confidence level, to stand up straight, to own what it is you want to do and become and who you are. And then the last key component is their language. I can't, it's hard. I'll never be able to do that. It's out of my reach. Those are a lot of belief systems that these kids have because they've never been shown what's possible. And so changing their language is everything. I can, I will, I'm going to, it's easy. I'm working on it. I'm being a little better every day. And then finally, the last thing is bringing in that piece of the mind and the body are not separate. What happens in the mind happens in the body. And so we're bringing that all together, and I'm showing them what shows up physically for you when you have pain in the body. So this could be knee pain, stomach aches, headaches, shoulder pain. You know, a lot of these kids are athletes, and so I address what's going on. A lot of these kids are breaking down essentially out of nowhere, right? But what happens in the mind happens in the body. So there's a lot of stress they're putting on themselves, performance for their parents, or pressure to get a college scholarship. And so we're changing all of these things for these students, and it all starts in the mind.
That's powerful. And we're talking about thoughts. We go through this all the time. I mean, Heather and I talk about all this stuff on a daily basis. Yep. The thoughts and what we're telling ourselves and what we're essentially latching onto, because our thoughts totally become who we are. Yep. It defines us. There's a lot of laws. I'll come back to you in a minute to further discuss that. But Jodi, I want to take a minute to ask you. So Jodi Stonehocker is a functional health practitioner, and she works for a company called Vital Spark Coaching, where she's an independent contractor. She has clients who are dealing with health issues, who are dealing with things that they can't overcome on their own, and she helps them find the path. Jodi, give a bit of a background on you and what you do.
Yeah, so helping women anywhere from like mid-20s all the way to 50s, really, because that's when the body starts breaking down and they're seeing these big hormonal shifts, gut issues, especially in the world we live in where we're inundated by a lot of stressors. So really, like, one, Heather's been a great mentor to me, and so I work with the mind, body, soul as well. But I meet people where they're at. Most people need that tangible physical aspect. And so really looking at how to calm their nervous system down first. We go in layer by layer, really addressing the nervous system, focusing on obviously the body as a whole, but we are, how do I explain this in a short term? Working on the body's detox system, and then working on the big heavy hitters that the body needs to work through in order to, again, calm the body down, get their nervous system regulated. And then the tangible aspects of, are you living a healthy lifestyle, meaning nutrition, exercise, movement, sunlight, circadian rhythm, timing, and then those thoughts and beliefs, just like Heather touched on. So
important. All of those things go into having a healthy lifestyle and being healthy. Yeah. Sometimes we get latched onto, well, I'm just an unhealthy person because my parents are unhealthy. It's just genetics. And yet they're living the same lifestyle. They're making the same behavioral choices that has been passed down, and they don't correlate that probably your health is not so much genetic.
Yes.
Matter of fact, there's been a lot of studies saying it's totally not genetic, is how you are perceiving your thoughts. And so if mom's a worrier and always stressing about things and doesn't eat right and doesn't ever exercise, well, guess what? That's where it comes from. So with the classroom, and you guys are teaching this, and you're seeing these students come into the class, and a lot of, I've been into your class, and I see a lot of especially the female students who are sitting front row, and they're really absorbing this. And you're talking about things like nutrition, and you're talking about exercise, and you're just talking about the overall lifestyle that one lives. Tell us a little bit about what you share with these students at this age, what they're able to latch on to.
Yeah, I think it's those foundations. Are they getting enough sleep? Because we're all human beings. I think people tend to bypass that they can power through a lot more than they think they can. And I also think, like you said, they're just reflecting a lot of habits that they've seen from their parents. And unfortunately, I think that health in general in the United States hasn't been like the greatest example. So yeah, they're really just like thinking that it's okay to wake up and off of 5 hours of sleep, roll over, have some quick sugary cereal, be super stressed out by all their class stuff, not really fuel properly, and compare themselves on social media. So in my class, I go over those steps of, okay, hey, let's treat our body right. Let's get these foundations locked in that we know and have seen proven that this is what works. Because yeah, like if we want to be successful in life, that is the 80%. That is what we have to do in order to really thrive and be like a decent human being, right? Is where we're not ending up with chronic illness in our 60s, 70s, and so on.
Right. So important. I mean, we deal with that so much. Our clientele, we always ask, how long are you going to live? And it varies, the wide spectrum. Some people say, well, I don't think I'm going to make it to 75. Yeah. And it just runs in my family, and heart disease or whatever it might be. And we try to start going into the whole concept of your lifestyle. What are you choosing to do? Let's focus more on that. And I think it's so important for these students to change the way they think about health. And you're right. We spend more money than any country in the world on health, and we are one of the least healthy countries. Now, correlate that. Imagine spending more money. It just seems like it's going to the wrong causes. So in our opinion, this is what makes more sense. I always latch on to this concept of you feed a man for a day, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, and you teach him to fish, and you feed him for life. And that's what we're trying to do here, is rather than just hand something like doctors often do, we're trying to teach them how to take care of themselves. Now, let's go back a minute. Heather, you talk about this whole set the stage and some of the things that kids do to maybe harm themselves from a health standpoint or from a behavioral standpoint. And I know you guys talk a lot about cell phones and just social media and the pressures. Can you give us a quick example on some of those things that you address in the classroom?
Sure. So I ask a lot of kids, how many of you suffer from anxiety or depression? And a lot of these kids are reluctant to raise their hand, but statistics show most of these kids are stuttering.
Stuttering Stanley.
Struggling with anxiety and depression. And I see it a lot because a lot of my clients are referring their own children to me, and they're saying, man, they're just really struggling. And a lot of it is because of what they're seeing on social media. The struggle to even, have some of these apps. Our own daughter is a victim of this,
Wanting
it's
Snapchat.
Yep.
Right.
And wanting to fit in. And that's a real problem with these kids. And so they're not fully owning who they authentically are. They're trying to go along to get along. And so I feel like it's so impactful when you talk about, teaching a man to fish, teaching these children to fish, teaching them their own worth, teaching them what they're capable of. They're capable of having confidence, of speaking the best way for themselves, and really showing them, giving them the tools and letting them decide if they're going to use them or not.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about focusing on lack or focusing on what you have. And it's just the law of attraction, right? It's really what you focus your attention on.
Sure.
More comes to you.
Yep.
It's just such a kind of a novel concept. It makes sense conceptually, but very few people actually understand and apply that to their life.
Exactly. Yep.
And what are your maybe a couple of quick examples of maybe what you guys have seen in the classroom over the last 3 years, and we'll share that with the listeners. From the student standpoint, you guys have had people come up after the presentations and tell you about things going on in their life. And why do you think this is so important? And why isn't it being addressed and dealt with at the high school level from the school district standpoint?
I mean, we're living in the Stone Age as far as school goes, and the classes available to these students. A lot of these students are completely unaware this is even available to them. Eating right, having a different diet, getting out in the sun, having breakfast before you head out for school, having the brain health, having the thought process that align to make them the most successful. Their parents don't teach it energetically. Their parents aren't probably emotionally available, like maybe someone that's more aware of what their kid's going through and being able to be supportive, but teaching these kids, you can support yourself. You are capable. You are fully in your own power. You're in control of your own life.
Do you think we've given up too much control to the medical world in this day and age?
Sure. These students come up to us, and a lot of them are shocked. They all want to know how Jodi has her big muscles.
I've seen it, guys. So you go in there and mess with her in a CrossFit gym. I dare you. I've been getting my ass kicked from her for the last 10 years straight. But.
Yeah, that's the number one question. How do you get your big muscles, Jodi? But two is they're struggling with conditions. I have a lot of students come up to me and ask me, I have this condition. What's the emotion behind it? And I've really been able to show them, everything that happens physically in your body is emotionally correlated. And that's always kind of shocking to them. But it's so empowering for them to have that knowledge so that they can make their own choices. So we're not going back to the medical model, being stuck on surgeries and pills and going to the doctor's office 10 times a year.
I wish I'd have learned that when I was younger. I think it's one of the big reasons why we are so excited about this, to teach the kids, rather than always just focus that your body's broken physically and you have to run to the attention of a medical provider. Not that I'm saying, they're all bad or every time, but when something's chronic, there's a chronic condition that you can't seem to get rid of, or it won't seem to resolve itself, it becomes more of an emotional, there's something happening in your mind, and most likely even your subconscious mind, that is keeping your body in fight or flight and is not allowing your body to naturally heal, which it totally knows how to do.
Yep.
And that's one thing I really appreciate about you guys teaching these students at a younger age. So appreciate you guys being here. It's a wonderful opportunity. Those of you listening, if you want to attend this Financial Health and Wellness Bootcamp, come along. There's a lot of adults who attend. This is geared toward the high school age students because, again, we want to teach people at the age that they can actually make the biggest impact on the rest of their lives, not only from the wealth standpoint of how to become wealthy and stay wealthy, how to become healthy and stay healthy. So we appreciate them and what they do. Come on and check it out. Send your students if you don't want to attend, but we want you all to be there and share this with other people who could benefit. So thanks for listening. All right, we're back, and this is our third and final installment of the show where we are talking about our financial literacy bootcamp. And today, our special guests are from America First Credit Union. It's a credit union that's very well known right here in our area, especially. And they have a great program that they help students and adults alike with financial literacy. So my guests today, Aspen Ostrowski and Ashley Van Leeuwen, are here to describe the content of the subjects that they're going to teach on. So they're going to both be present at the event, I'm assuming, and you guys are going to be teaching our students, all these students, some basic conversation pieces about financial literacy, and then helping them understand what it is that it's going to take to thrive in the life after high school. So I'll let you guys jump in and introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what the students are going to learn.
Yeah. Well, I can start us off. So my name's Aspen. I've been working at America First for 6 years. I started there just right when I turned 18, and I'm still here. And I absolutely love what I do. I feel very fortunate to be able to teach financial literacy. It's something that I didn't realize I was so passionate about until I moved into this role. And so we were asked to talk about, or at least we had a couple topics they asked us to come and teach. The one that I'm going to be teaching while we're there presenting is how to spot scams, identity theft, and then earning money online.
That's a big thing right now.
Oh yeah, certainly. Before I moved into, our departments and our branches, I worked for the actual, I was in a branch, and we definitely saw this a lot. It's very prevalent. And so I think that, being able to talk about it and educate on, certain tactics that, people use to try and scam you out of your money is incredibly, incredibly important. And yeah, it's definitely something that's becoming even increasingly prevalent. And so this one in particular, like I said, I really love talking about it. In this particular lesson, we're talking about different tactics, as I mentioned, that people use. And then a couple things that you can do to help protect your identity as well. Some common tactics used to try and steal your identity, and some things you can do to make sure that doesn't happen to you. Mm-hmm. And then also earning money online. So just a couple things you can do to safely earn some income, online if you're interested in pursuing something like that. So we just have a couple of helpful, things that can help you earn some money online.
It's important for parents right now, knowing that all their students pretty much are online. They have their phones 24/7. They're looking at things, and then they get bombarded with texts or messages. And sometimes it looks like a legitimate message, and we think we've all received them. It looks like something that you need to respond to. And it could even be something like, this is the IRS and you owe taxes, or this is the police department and you need to contact us because you have an unpaid ticket, and click here, or, or else. And then it's a scam, and you provide your information, and you lose money, and it's a big problem.
Yeah. And they're just really clever with it. But.
Yeah. A big part of this one too, especially with the age of the kids, right, is they're all on social media. And so part of this presentation goes over social media and being careful not to overshare. If your family's going out of town, don't say, we're gone from Saturday the 21st until, don't give specific days you're out of the house, because anyone that follows you or sees your content knows that there's usually no one in the house, right?
Might as well walk in. Yeah.
With giveaways, right? Some influencers do giveaways, and so people create fake accounts and ask for your personal information because they're like, oh, you won this giveaway. Give us your information. We'll send it to you. Mm-hmm. And so just protecting themselves, on social media, because everyone's on social media nowadays, especially, the younger kids. And so protecting yourself on social media, I think, is a really big part of it too.
Absolutely.
That's where the scammers hang out, right? And they know, and they prey on people.
Yeah.
So beyond the scams and identity theft, what's the other class that we're going to be covering?
So the other one, we cover income essentials, acing the job interview, and let's talk taxes. So income essentials kind of just covers when you're deciding on what career you want to pursue, right? There's some things you should take into consideration. Those are, how much money you're going to make, right? How much you're actually going to make. Because every career, right, has different
salary ranges.
Yeah. Also education, right? How long are you willing to be in school? If you don't like school, maybe being a doctor, not great, right? Maybe not the best decision. We talk about what skills, what natural skills they have, because, right, if you have a job, you want to be good at what you do. So skills is super important. So we just kind of talk about that kind of stuff when considering what job to take. And then we jump into talking about job interviews and some common questions that they get asked, right? So things like, introduce yourself. What should you share? What should you not share, right? Do you need to share how many siblings you have in every state you've lived in? Probably not. And then it goes over, what's one of your biggest strengths? What's your biggest weakness? Right. So just going over kind of those common questions that you're probably going to hear in every interview you do. And so just kind of letting them know this is something really great to say. Avoid saying, with your weakness, right? You don't want to say something like if you're applying for America First. If you're like, yeah, I'm not very trustworthy, I lie a lot. maybe not the best thing,
I'm
like
not very good at showing up on time. I have a hard
Yes.
time waking up in the morning.
things that are like really important, don't share those,
Okay.
right? But so kind of some tips and tricks on how to answer job interview questions.
And do you guys get into the resume building at all, or is it mostly just the actual sit-down interview?
We, as financial literacy coordinators, don't. Our HR department usually covers
Gets into that.
the resume kind of stuff, but
With regard to the career choices, do you get into the benefits a company offers, or do you kind of talk about that with the students as far as seeking out employment and the type of benefits they're offering?
For this one in particular, we don't focus too terribly much on that. We definitely mention it because that's something that you're going to be wanting to look into as you're going into whatever career you're choosing. We want to make sure that you obviously have benefits and other things attached to the job that's not necessarily just salary, right? So it's something we definitely mention. This one, we really, these 3 topics we're covering we definitely do a general overview. So again, income essentials, Ashley talked a little bit about what's covered there for acing the job interview. We do also highlight, what you should wear, what you should bring. And we do talk about how they should bring a resume. We don't necessarily go into the details of how to build that resume in particular. In this one, we talk more about actual interview questions and how to kind of conduct yourself during the interview. And then right after that, we do talk about what to expect when they actually receive a paycheck. So we'll go over a little bit about, what they're actually going to receive, talk about like net versus gross income, a couple of things when it comes to that in particular, which is, helpful because those are things they're going to need to know after they get hired for their job, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
And I'm sure there's some tricks as far as helping students to find job openings. Do you guys have some thoughts on that? Where to look for jobs? Is it just online searches? Is it LinkedIn? Is it all the above?
Pretty much all of the above. Those things are, really, you could even, if there was a place they were interested in working, you can go to the actual establishment and ask for a job, application too. Again, for this one in particular, we don't talk too terribly much about where to actually go to find those job listings. But yes, LinkedIn is a great one. Really just online searches. That's how I started at America First. I was just looking online for jobs, and I stumbled upon a position as a teller for America First. And so before that though, I was going into I was just driving around and going to places that I thought looked interesting and asking them for job interview or job applications. Yeah. And so any and like you said, all of the above works.
And networking
great.
is probably a good idea as well. Yeah. Obviously, who it never gets old. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about America First. Since they dedicate so much time and money, resources to financial literacy, share with the listeners why that is and why is it so important to America First?
So America First, part of our mission statement is we're really worried about our members' financial well-being, right? We want to help them in any way that we can to make sure that they're financially literate, that they're financially responsible, so that, because I feel like when people struggle with finances, it bleeds into pretty much every other part of their life. It can be very stressful. So as a company, that's really important to us. And so, right, financial well-being, it all goes down to, do you know how to save money? Do you know about credit? Do you know, all those basic financial literacy topics? And so for us, that's really important, not only for our members, right, but for the community as a whole, because financial literacy isn't talked about very often, right? Parents don't really talk about it with their kids. School, there's a little bit of resource in classes, but it's not like a huge central part. Right. And so financial literacy is just super, super important. And I think that anyone that is financially literate, right, can do really awesome things, right? Mm-hmm. They can set some really awesome financial goals and really set themselves up for a good future.
Yeah. And I think something that's really cool is we really do try to spend a lot of time, in K through 12 age range as well, because if you can start building good habits while they're young, it's going to really help when they actually become an adult. They're going to have that knowledge beforehand. So instead of trying to break habits that are already there, they're just creating good ones. So that's something that's incredibly important to us, is to make sure that as much knowledge is out there for, younger generation, so that, when they're graduating, when they're ready to, go out into the world, they have the tools and the resources that they need to be successful when it comes to financial literacy. Yeah.
It's so big. And you hit it right on the head. It's not one of those topics that too many people discuss and talk about. In high school and even in college. They're all talking about the different courses that you have to take, right? The generals, they call them. And so all these things you have to learn. And most of the time, it doesn't really even apply to your career. Yet everyone is going to have to learn how to handle money. And in order to be successful, financially successful, this helps you lay that foundation to understand credit, to understand investing and saving, and understand debt management and all the things that go into that. There's so many offshoots of that conversation. So you're speaking our language. This is why we started this program so many years ago, is because we feel like it was such a big need. The community, it started out as more of a give back to our clients and their kids, because we wanted to help their kids understand this concept. And then it just grew and grew and grew to where now it's massive, and it's hundreds of students who are bused to the university to attend this all-day program and learn from teachers such as yourself. Which is why we're so grateful for you guys partnering up with us to be there, because you have this same motivation. You're not looking for anything out of this. You're not trying to sell anybody. You're not trying to grab them and get them to become members. They know you. Obviously, you're going to do a lot of good in the community, and that will soon translate into business back. And that's the way we look at it, is we're not asking for anything. It's a huge commitment on our end and a huge cost. We're paying for everything. The kids get a free lunch that day, and the whole thing is covered. No expense associated at all. We even have to pay some of the school districts to bus the students in, which is amazing, because you'd think the school districts have plenty of resources, but some of them say, no, we don't have the funds to get them there. So we even cough up money for that. And we're grateful to do it. Again, I go by the motto of, you can give a man a fish and feed him for a day, or you can teach him to fish and you fed him for his lifetime. And that's what we're trying to do here, is teach them skills that they're going to need to apply and use. And it could dramatically change not only their life, but everyone around them. So we're grateful for you guys to be on hand, to be there. And we're looking forward to seeing you on April 21st. All of you listening, make sure you share this with anyone who might be interested. Kids, young adults, friends, family members, school teachers especially. It's really not easy to get these teachers to think about this as a possible course that they can join and they can bring their students to, as like a field trip day. But it's one of the most valuable pieces of information or experiences that they can ever have as a high school age student. So remember this, it's happening at Weber State University, April 21st, and you need to be there, be on hand. If you want to just come and participate, we'd love to have you there. A lot of cool giveaways, many different presentations and classes. We have a business panel that'll have 4 experts on hand from different career backgrounds to talk about their career choices, why they became successful, what they have done differently. So the students get a really well-rounded day of a lot of Q&A and hearing from different experts, not only the financial literacy, but then we have a health and wellness classroom as well. So that's going to be a good one to attend on top of the financial stuff. So thanks to you guys for joining us today, and we'll talk to you again at the Weber State University event. Thanks for joining us today, guys, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for listening. For more information about today's show, please check out the show notes. Visit our website at www.petersonws.com or give us a call at 801-475-4002. Peterson Wealth Services is a registered investment advisor. This is a paid-for advertisement. Information presented on this program is believed to be factual and up-to-date, but we do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. Discussions and answers to questions do not involve the rendering of a personalized investment advice, but are limited to the dissemination of general information. A professional advisor should be consulted before implementing any of the options presented. Peterson Wealth Services.